Welcome to the second portion of chapter 17, where we've been talking about signing and marking for freeways and rural highways. Last time we covered traffic markings on freeways and rural highways, and we also talked about the establishing and posting speed limits. Today lecture we will be covering now the third bullet of this chapter, which is how can we design guide signings for freeways and rural highways. So when it comes to guide signing for freeways and rural highways, first we need to talk about reference location posts. Where do we need to put them? And what are those location posts are? Formally and in so many places, they are still often referred to as mileposts. Those mileposts typically provide the location system for accidents and emergencies. So if something happens, you can, when you call 911 and tell the location, you're going to be asked what's the milepost, so they can know exactly where you're located at. This mile post may be also used as the basis for exit numbering. So again, that would be a good amount of information. If an emergency or accident would happen, you would tell where is the closest exit number or the mile post that you are located at. The numbering system, they must be continuous without certain state. For example, mile 0 should be located at the southern and western state boundaries, and we typically use cardinal directions used in those highway designations in order to recognize that there are only two axes, north-south and east-west. So, for example, if a straight line between the beginning and the end of a route within given state makes an angle of less than 45 degrees or more than 135 degrees with the horizon, it is designated as east and west route. So if I draw a little picture here, this is here the south north and east west. So if it's something between the less than 45 degrees, this angle here is less than 45 degrees, or more than 135 degrees, which again represent this angle right here, then that would be considered as, if it's less than 45 degrees or more than 135, that means now it's leaning towards the east-west route. If I draw another intersection, this is here the north, south, east and west, and if such a line makes an angle between 45 and 35 degrees, so it's more than 45 degrees, so something like this, so this angle here is way more than 45 degrees, then this is going to be considered as a north-south route. How do we use, or what's the style that we use for reference location posts? We can have here, as you could see, examples for milepost signs. We can have only mile number 4, or if again the route is too long, we can use 2 digits, and we can use all the way to 3 digits. Sometimes we use even example of 10th milepost, like what we see in these 3 pictures here. So it's mile 4.3 or 44.8 or 444.9. So if especially in urban or places where now you need to be very specific and there's so many exits, even more frequent than every single mile, then we may see those reference location posts. Sometimes also we see an enhanced milepost and 10th milepost signs. For example, as you can see, this is enhanced one. Why I'm saying enhanced? Because first of all, it tells you what's the milepost, which is mile 260, and also tells you that you're now on US Route 12 and you're heading towards the west part of that route. And we also can have a 10th mile post sign like this one here. So now you're going US 12 and going to the west. Milepost is 260.2. So this one here, from the simplest milepost sign all the way to the enhanced milepost signs with 10th signs. The numbered highway systems, there are 4 types of highway systems are numbered in the United States. 2 of them are national systems, and there is another 2 systems which are the state and county road systems. So let's talk about the national systems first. So the first one of these 2 national systems was named after President Eisenhower. So we call it Eisenhower National System of Interstate and Defense Highways, and this is now what we call the interstate system. This is, and the next one would be the U.S. system, which is the oldest system. Both of those systems are numbered by AASHTO based on recommendations from individual state highway departments. When it comes to state and county roadway systems, they are also numbered by the appropriate agencies, for example TxDOT in our case, in accordance with standards and criteria established by each state individually. The U.S. System convention that we typically use, first, again, if we have a principal north-south routes, those are given numbers of 1 or 2 digits, and they have to end with a 1. When it comes to north-south routes of secondary importance, they are given numbers of 1 or 2 digits ending in 5. For transcontinental or principal east-west routes, they were assigned route numbers in multiples of 10s. And for numbers of principal and secondary routes were to be in numerical order from east to west and from north to south. So that's always the case when it comes to now the number is being accumulating. It has to start from the east to the west. So east would be the lowest number to the west part of the state, and or the west part of the entire country. Same thing for north to south. Branch routes were assigned 3-digit numbers, with the last 2 being the principal route itself. This is here an example of different types of routes. So we can have the I-80, since again this is considered to be east-west route, so it has to be 2 digits and it's in tens. So I-80, and we have this one here, I-95. This is the north-south type of interstate, and whenever we see small routes around the I-95, we see here I-495, so it has to end with the 2 digits related to this highway, or here also I-495 Washington Beltway. While again, another important information about the numbered highway systems, the numbered routes are identified by appropriate shield bearing, the route number, as well as an auxiliary panel indicating the cardinal direction of that route. When it comes to the county shields, those are pretty much uniform throughout the nation. The name of the county has to appear as part of the shield design. It's also possible to have a given section of highway with multiple route numbers signed with different cardinal directions. For example, let me give you this example in New York. In New York, there is a thruway, which is called, again, it's a north-south route that is convergent with the Westchester Expressway, an east-west route, and that is assigned as I-87 North and also I-287 West. Those are here some examples of the numbered highway systems we can have, as we saw in the previous chapters. This is here an interstate route sign, I-22. Here also we can have off interstate business route. And when it comes to the US route sign, this is the typical design that we use. And when it comes to state route signs, that's the one. For county signs, pretty much like a pentagon size sign, and for first sign, that would be this sign. So everyone again indicates, as we said, we talk to the drivers by shape and color. Those are the 2 important elements that will be easily defined and can be seen from a far distance. How about now the exit numbering systems? When it comes to exit numbering systems, especially again at interchanges, those are numbered using one of the two systems. First is milepost numbering. That means the exit number is the milepost number closest to the interchange. Or we can use sequential numbering. That means exits are sequentially numbered. Exit 1 will begin at the westernmost or southernmost interchange within the state, and it will keep increasing by the time I'm going from the west to the east or from the south to the north. Milepost numbering is now the preferred system, actually according to the MUTCD, and in many states have been already converting from sequential numbering to this system, milepost. Milepost again is very accurate, and this is now the trend to go towards that system. Still, there is a dual use of supplemental designations can cause some confusions, but again, there's so many states that they're still transitioning from the sequential numbering to milepost, and again, that can make some confusion, especially for unfamiliar drivers. But we need to keep in mind that all freeways were initially signed using sequential numbering, with milepost numbering introduced primarily over the last 25 years only. So again, we are used to, the old folks, they used to drive and use sequential numbering, but again, the entire system of milepost numbering has been only introduced in the last 25 years or so. When it comes now to another element which is very important in designing guide signs on freeways and rural highways, those are the route sign assemblies. There's different types of assemblies that we use on freeways. The first one is junction assembly. Junction assembly, it's used to indicate an upcoming intersection with another numbered route. While when it comes to an advanced route turn assembly, this typically indicates that a turn must be made at an upcoming intersection in order to remain on the indicated route. So it's different. Junction, it just tells you that there's an upcoming intersection, and just to tell you again what are the streets that they are intersecting with the one that you're driving on. But for the advanced route turn assembly, in order to stay at the same route, you've got to take that turn whether right or left to stay at your designated route. When it comes to the directional assembly, those ones indicate the required turn movements for route continuity at an intersection of numbered routes, as well as the beginning and at the end of the numbered routes. There is also some assemblies that we see after we go through a big intersection. Those we call confirming or reassurance assemblies. Those again used after motorists have passed through the intersections of numbers, just to tell them that yes, you are still on the right route. The last one is the trailblazer assemblies, and those are used on non-numbered routes that lead to a numbered route. So here, let's see here several examples of assemblies and where do we need to put them and what do we name each one of those. So as you can see from these couple examples here, we have the first assembly in both cases, as you could tell, is the junction assembly. The junction assembly, which is right here. This tells you again, this has to be well before the intersection, and it tells you that you're coming now to an intersection, and this route is going to be, there's a junction 18, that means this route is number 18, and here also tells you that this route here is going to be 47 US state route 47 and state route 3. Neither example actually includes an advanced turn assembly, as drivers approaching from the south do not have to execute a turn to stay on the same route. So there is no need for a turn assembly. As you could tell here, you just keep going through the intersection, so there is no need for an advanced turn assembly. Another type of assembly that we could see in these two examples is now once the intersection is crossed, as you could tell here, those are confirming assemblies, telling you that yes, you are If you keep going, you are just continuing at US 37 and you are heading north. Same thing here, same thing here. Again, this is assuring you that you are at the right route, and they are typically posted within 200 feet from the intersection so that the drivers may be assured that they are indeed on the desired route, and if they made an error, they can easily make the decisions to again take the next exit and go for the designated route. So it has to be again within that 200 feet, just to give the driver an assurance that they are on the right track, or they need to make changes, they can make it in a quick fashion. Once now we have the confirming assembly, now those gonna be typically followed by an optional the destination distance guide sign. So as you could see in these two examples, now once you're gone or done with the intersection and you know that you're on the right route, now we need to tell the drivers, okay, now within 17 miles you're going to that city, within 38 miles you're going to Portland. Same thing here as well. So you would give the name of the biggest two destinations or maximum three with how many miles remaining to reach at that location. When it comes to freeway and again expressway guide signs typically are rectangular. The long dimensions are the horizontal ones, and are color coded white and green for directional guidance, and they can be white and blue for service information, and white and brown for information or historical destination. So again, colors is very important way to communicate with drivers. So everyone knows if it's directional one, it's got to be white on green for directional guidance. For service information like hotels, as well as gas stations, those are white and blue. And if you are looking for information or historical destinations, those are going to be white and brown. Some more details about signs when it comes to freeways and expressways. The ramp leads to the US Route 56, for example. Let's take a look at this one here and give you more details. What does each one of these information tells you about? So the ramp leads to a US Route 56. So this is here shows that we're going now. Once you take this exit, you're gonna head to US Route 56, and we see here that it even has the US shield used. The primary destination is also gonna be reached by selecting this ramp, which is the city of Utopia. As you could tell, the exit number is also shown, which is 211A, assuming that this is the milepost number sign. The exit is actually located at the milepost 211. In fact, also this exit number, which is 211A, refers to the ramp leading to the route 56 westbound. So it says here west, that means you're gonna go to the US Route 56, and that's gonna be westbound. And exit 211B would lead to Route 56 eastbound. That's the typical way of doing it. So we would have one which is A for the westbound, and the following one, which is 211B, typically we reserve it for 56 US 56 the eastbound. Also, the exit number tab is located on the right side of the sign, indicating that you need to take the right hand exit, not the other way around, the left side. In so many locations, we typically, most of the time, we see that when you exit, you take the right, but in some sophisticated highway system, you may need to take the left side if you want to exit to that location. So again, there's so many things that we're telling the driver from a simple sign, including again the destination city, what highway are you going to be using, what's the direction, what's the number indicates, and even what would you be expecting if you see 211A, then therefore there should be a 211B, which is going to give you the opposite bound of this street. How about now the location? Where do we need to put those guide signing? So the first advanced directional guide sign can be as far as 10 miles away. 10 miles away, as you could see here. So assume again, this is the exit. Now you can go all the way back and put a sign for drivers again as far as 10 miles away, that you're saying that there's exit 44. You're gonna take the right side of that exit and the speed is gonna be 35 miles per hour, and you can put it all the way again as far as 10 miles away from this intersection. If a 10-mile sign is placed, then the usual sequence afterwards would be to repeat the advanced sign at 5 miles, 2 miles, 1 mile, and half mile of that intersection. So again, you're preparing and you're making the frequency more and more by the time now you reach that intersection. When it comes now to urban situation, not as what we discussed in the previous slide, which is most of the time rural highways, in urban situations, signing must be done very carefully, otherwise you will have a very confusing sign system. So in order to avoid any confusing for unfamiliar drivers, you've got to design them very well. For example, sign spreading, and that's a concept, or that's the technical term of where do we put those signs. Sign spreading is a technique employed on urban freeways and expressways in order to avoid confusing sign sequences and the appearance of too many signs at one location. For example, looks like here we have two places that we can exit. One here, if you want to take this exit, so you need to put this sign right here to show that if you want to take this at point A here, you need to put it right there to indicate that now this exit is going to take you to this city and this is the exit number. Now you've got to wait until you reach point B to put this sign here indicating that now we are heading to US 50 and the city is Trenton and the destination is going to be reached within 1 mile. You can't put both of them here, otherwise it will be confusing to unfamiliar drivers. Another example here for urban highways and where do we need to put the guide signing is this example here. Guide signing for a series of closely spaced interchanges on urban freeways is a very complicated process. First of all, distances are such that only one advanced sign is provided for each exit. We can do like what we showed you a few slides ago, that we need to put the sign 10 miles away, 5 miles away to 1.5 miles. We can't do that in urban settings. In urban settings we have again the chance to put it once if possible, otherwise again it's going to be very confusing because the interchanges and the exits are pretty much every single mile. So as I said, distances are such that only one advanced sign is provided for each exit. The interchange sequence sign must be listing 3 upcoming interchanges each, but do not list exit numbers. For example, here at this location, once you arrive here, you're going to say that Fitchway is 3/4 of a mile, and then Kingston Avenue is 1.5 miles, and the third destination within 2 miles. Now once you reach this location here, now we're gonna say that okay, Fitchway is 1/2 mile from here. You're not gonna say anything about the other 2 destinations. Now for the ones who wanna go to this way, they're just gonna read again that now you need to exit at the location. That's why here at this location, just a few hundred feet away from the exit, you just need to show this is the exit and the name of that route. And then by the time now you reach this location here, you would show the second approach within 1/2 mile from the exit. So here you're gonna see that within 1/2 mile, and at the exit you're gonna show only the name of that exit. Again, by the time you leave the exit, where now you can't, for the ones who made the decision to get the exit, they will be going through the exit, and for the ones who reach this point in particular, now you need to show them what's coming up and the next interchange, and that will be the exit number, and again the name of the street, and also within half a mile. And same thing, by the time you reach the exit, you need to show the name of that exit only in particular. So it's pretty different here compared to the rural one, where you have now exits are 5 or 10 miles apart, compared to the urbanized one where you can't add too many advanced signing, otherwise it will be really confusing. This is here a very interesting example for a big and complex interchange between I-42 and I-17. And as you can see here, there's a lot of signings. Signing is shown for only actually 2 of 4 approach directions. So after all this, you think there's so many signing, but still this is only for 2 approaches. So let's start with the eastbound. In the eastbound direction, the critical feature is that a single off ramp serves both directions of I-17. So eastbound, that means now I'm trying to go to the east, right here. So this ramp here, the critical feature again, that the off ramp serves both directions on I-17. The single ramp, however, splits shortly after leaving I-42. I-42, again, that split right here is very important. So you're going this way. So now once you come here, one is going this way and one is going that way. So that split here is very interesting. The single ramp, however, again splits once again you leave I-42. Thus, that means 2 closely spaced sequential diverges must be negotiated by motorists. And that's here again, that's the interesting portion where you need to put lots of signing assemblies to tell the drivers where to go. So first we need to have an advanced exit signs, and those have to be placed 2 miles, 1 mile and half mile from the exit. So as you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3 in order to tell them in advance. Since this is a very complicated intersection, we've got to tell the drivers in advance 3 times, 2 miles away, 1 mile away and half mile away, that again if you take the farthest lane from the left is going to Miami, the middle one is another destination, and all the way to the right is going to get you to Columbus. So that's very interesting, but again you've got to put 1, 2, 3 times the assemblies, 3 times 2 miles away, 1 mile away and half a mile away, before they reach this interesting location where again drivers will need to make sure that they can go through, or they can go to the west, or they can go to the east. Part of talking about that type of complex interchange is this type of proper signing would be very expensive. As you could see here, we're having 21 signs and 10 support structures needed only for 2 of the 4 approach directions. That means it's super expensive to do such amount of signing. The expense is, however, is very necessary in order to provide drivers with the required information to navigate in their at the intersection very safely. Again, so we have lots of support structures, 21 signs, but it's totally worth it. Don't ever say that again this is enough or let's reduce it. This is, now we're talking about reducing confusion for drivers, and it's worthwhile, otherwise we will be having lots of accidents at such locations. Another example here is when we see a fork like this. So the signing for major diverge of 2 interstate routes. Here this example is I-50 west and I-79 south. So we've got to have a good amount of advanced signing. So The first one would be the advanced sign here. This is has to be placed 2 miles away, and then we're gonna have another one at 1 mile away, and then half mile away, with some diagrams showing that if you stay at the far left, you're gonna be going to I-50 west, and if you are now at the middle lane, you need to make again that decision, either going to the left and go to the west part of the I-50, or the far right would be going to I-79. So the diagram shows how the 3 approach lanes would end up splitting at the diverge and allow the driver to move into a lane appropriate to their desired destination way in advance at the gore area. You don't want to have drivers come to this location and still making the decision. Drivers has to make the decision 2 miles, 1 mile, or at the most, by the time they reach half a mile away, they've got to make the decision whether to take the far left or the far right, to take either I-50 or I-79 in this case. The last sign at the diverge use arrows to indicate which 2 lanes are gonna be used for what, because at the end of that location here, there will be 2 lanes going to one direction and 1 lane or so going to the other direction. So we've got to tell them this, and as you could see here at the go area also, we're gonna show that this is exit 55, and once now you pass through the fork, you need to tell them, the driver assuring them that now you are still on I-50 in this case, or in this case you are assuring them that they are now at I-79. Also now the last point here to mention in this chapter when it comes to guide signing for conventional roads is they need to consist of route signs, assemblies, and destination signing. So because numbered routes are not involved in most cases, destination names become the primary means of conveying the information. So again, we don't have numbers all the time, but we need to know what are the destinations cities and how far are they from the current location where the driver is at. So advanced destination signs are generally placed at least 200 feet from any intersection with confirming designations. So we need to tell them at least again 200 feet from the intersection, telling them in advance that there is that city and it's this much far away if you keep going on at that route. Once you pass certain intersection, then you need also to give them a confirmation of their destination. With that, we finish chapter 17, and thank you so much.